Good afternoon. How is everyone today? Hi, Angel J. Nice to see you. Welcome to Sunday afternoon stream. Today I'm going to finish off the Amazon Warrior quilts. So I'm going to finish off just one of the quilts. The other one I'll do in my own time. And then I'm going to get started on the Pokemon Applique quilt. So I'll show you Brother Scan and Cut, how I use that, everything. Before I get started into the Amazon Warrior, back here I'm going to show you what's going on. I know, our phone notification's awesome. This is my brother's scan and cut sheet. And, I was hoping you could see on the camera, but you can't. See? I've ordered my third camera, and I ordered a whole bunch of different things to try to change the angles so you can see stuff better. So what I did last night is I thoroughly cleaned this. You can also do this for your Cricut and your Sizzix mats. I use oven cleaner. There's all sorts of cleaner out there, but the biggest thing you want to do is completely strip this away. So I completely stripped it. Make sure if you have any little sticky roly-poly things left over that you clear them off. And then let it dry. So I let mine dry overnight. And then about an hour ago, I used this. This is what I like to use, which is the Zig two-way glue. You just gotta shake it up, press it down, and then you move it over. It is still blue in a few places. So what this does is it's two ways. If you put the blue down, it becomes a glue, and you can immediately glue it to something. So you can use it for scrapbooking, for other things. In fact, that's what it's supposed to be for, is scrapbooking. If you let it sit and don't glue it to something, like I've done here, the blue fades away to clear. When it's completely clear, it's now a sticky surface. So it's super sticky right now, and the sticky doesn't come away on your hand. So it's a fantastic thing that I love to use to redo my brother's scan and cut mat. That way you don't have to buy another one, because they're expensive. It's still a few little small places are showing blue. So I'm going to let this sit for another few moments while I continue to work on the Amazon Warrior. After it completely finishes, I have a piece of plastic right here that I'll take over, and I'll set it over there so it doesn't get any dust or dirt on it. So I did finish, in fact, let me slide this over here out of the way while it continues to dry. Put this over here for now. Great. I did finish ironing. I did finish sewing, assembling and sewing all of the rows. So I went ahead and I ironed. I keep saying ironed. I went ahead and sewed the rows. Now I just need to iron them. That's what I was meaning to say. Alright, so let's take a look at the pattern. And I'm going to take 2 rows at a time. Oh, back to the Brother Scan and Cut mat. So I do not strip it every single time I use it. I just take the glue and I put it over top of the existing junk. So if there's fabric, dirt, whatever, not dirt, but, fuzz on there, I put the glue over top of it. You don't have to strip it every single time you use it. So I probably strip it every 5th or 6th time that I use it. And any time that I have lettering in my applique, I always use the scan and cut. It is so much easier than trying to cut out all those little letters. There we are. And then whatever I don't finish today, I will work on tomorrow. So if I don't finish the Pokemon quilts today, I'll start tomorrow's stream by finishing them off. And then I will work on quilt kits and dice bags. Now for pinning these rows, exact same thing as yesterday. I look for a place where the two seams line up. I put a pin in there, and then I go back and find the other seams and put pins in there. So you want to nest those seams. So the seam goes one way and it goes the other way. So you have here, you nest the seams, put a pin in, find the other open seams, put pins in, because you don't want the seams to flip back and forth as you're trying to sew it. Grab the next two. Now I'm just going to iron and pin them for right now. Okay, blue should be on the left. I believe it goes this way. There you go. Now this is, I know I mentioned it with the Japanese wood spirit quilt. This is my favorite part of quilting when I quilt pixel quilts. Because you can finally, with pixel quilts, it's really hard to see the picture and what it's going to look like when it's finished. So about this point, when you're starting to assemble the rows, you can actually start to see the picture forming. Oh, and Angel J, I like your domo, your thumbs up domo. That's nice. Now in this case, there are no seams at all, but this is a really big piece. So I put a pin right in the middle of that. Because I don't want the fabric to slide or to pucker as I'm putting it into the machine. This way. Yep, this way. Yeah, in order to make your own emotes for Twitch, I don't know if you can upload ones that you make yourself. When it comes to emotes on channel. Oh, hi Television Box. Thank you very much. When it comes to the channel, you only now if you're talking about for your own channel whenever you start streaming, you have to be an affiliate or a partner in order to do that. So I am an affiliate now, so I'm actually in the process of doing my own emotes, and I should get them probably about a week. Okay, so as I was ironing this, I glanced back over here, and there is no blue showing anymore. So this is perfectly clear. So this is now ready. So I'm going to do the test. So how I do the test is I'm actually going to take the fabric, put it on here, and see how it stays. Yep, and it stays perfectly fine. If when I do the test, if it didn't stay perfectly fine, then I would have put another layer on it. So this is good. This will be ready for the Pokemon quilt later on. So let me put my plastic on there to protect it. I'm going to set this all the way over there. Now, you mean emotes for yourself to use in channels? I have no clue. I don't think you can. I'm not sure. In the case of my emotes that I'm going to have, that I'm doing for my channel, because I'm an affiliate, you have to subscribe. So if you subscribe at $5, you get access to one emote. Subscribe at $10, get access to two. $25, you get access to all three. So that's how, there it is. Yeah. So when you're becoming an affiliate, so whenever you are an affiliate or a partner, you have to make them yourself and upload them. You actually get an option under your screen that you can upload the emotes for people that subscribe to the channel. So you only get access to the 3. And I'm still trying to figure out other ways, like if I give other incentives, like maybe if I want to give away patterns, if for a certain level or something like that. Yes, you have to make them yourself. If I were to upload my own emotes for my affiliate, I have to make them myself or have someone design them for me. If you go and find emotes out on the web and then upload those, that's the same almost as stealing someone else's work and art. I don't know. I don't know if you have access to emotes for someone's channel. Like if you subscribe to them, you have access to their emotes. If you can only use it in their channel or if you can use it everywhere. I haven't figured that one out yet. I'm going to play around with it. So yeah, so my emotes that I'm having made, I'm doing exactly that. I'm having them made. So I'm having an artist design them for me. And there's a whole guide on how big they need to be, the parameters, all sorts of things. There's like a big affiliate guide to emotes. Oh. Yep, yep. And that's for partners. So for the affiliate, I wonder if it's the same, because it says how many points I have. Because for me, in the affiliate program, it actually tells me that I only have access to the 3 emotes, 1 at each level. So I wonder if that changes depending upon the points. So like right now I have 1 subscription, I have 1 point. Yeah, no, I'm not good at drawing either, which is why I'm having an artist do it. I didn't do any of my layout stuff either. Art by Saint did all of this, and he is a Twitch designer. Yeah, so I'm still figuring it out. So I will, when I get my emotes finished and I upload them, then I'll start playing around and I can give more information about it. I totally was not expecting it. Yeah, no, and it took me... I started streaming in February. It took me until April until I really started understanding a lot of it. So it'll take a lot of time. Just lots of research. Lots of figuring things out. There's a lot of tutorials. online. So that's all I did. I went through every single tutorial of this is how OBS works. This is how the servers work, how you can ping. This is how making sure that the your dropped frame rate. You know, a lot of things like that. I know nothing about that, but now I do because I did all that research. My first couple of streams were pretty rough. If you go back through the YouTube and look at the first few streams, there's a lot of I'm trying to think of a good word to describe it. A lot of lag. Lag is the word I was looking for. There's a lot of lag in it because I was using a different computer. I didn't understand the specs of the computer. It's super important. I only had a one camera setup for a while. Yeah. So it takes some time. Okay, so all of the rows have been ironed and pinned for the second pass. So now I have 4 rows, and I'm going to sew them in sets of 2. Now you notice I have a strip already on my machine. This is for the second quilt. So instead of using scrap fabric, I will use the strips of the second quilt to feed it through the machine to continue to, oh my gosh, my brain is not working today. To chain piece. To continue to chain it. Man. I did not sleep very well last night. Maybe I should have gotten a second cup of coffee. So these two are going to get ironed and pinned together. So that's why I did separate it, because I want to make sure that they stay together. And then the next 2. The setup is all about tweaking it, changing it. Like I said, I just ordered a 3rd camera and a bunch of different holders. Because you may have an idea for something you want to do, and then you want to change it. Do something different. I'll probably change it again. Alright. We pull the pins out of this one. This goes here. Yeah, and you should always be tweaking and adapting and changing. Let me free this. And this actually, by doing the second quilt in here, this is actually going to save me time later off camera when I go to work on the second one. Yeah, so I didn't sleep much last night. Yesterday, on the way home, yesterday I said my husband and stepdaughter were at my brother-in-law's ball game. Yeah, on the way home they got rear-ended. So my truck's out of commission. I didn't sleep very well last night. Luckily, everyone is okay. But I gotta figure all that stuff out. So, more to do, more to think about. Jord did an amazing thing when she called to tell me. The first words out of her mouth were, "Everyone's okay." Because she knew that I'd flip out. Alright, so I've got those. So now, same thing like I just did before. Iron them. Now, it does not make a difference which way your seams point on this. If you want, you could even iron the seams open. I prefer not to iron my seams open because I've read lots of different things and I personally just don't like the seams open. In fact, I mentioned it to somebody else. Nope, she hasn't responded yet. Someone had asked on one of my posts, how do you, they're so used to ironing seams open, how do you iron them the seam to one side? So I posted a nice video on how to do it. Yeah, she's coming together. So I've got an appointment in the morning for the adjuster to take a look at the truck. The only thing that I'm concerned about is I have a convention in 2 weeks. Luckily it's only an hour away, but I still need a vehicle with a tow hitch on it to tow my trailer. So if my truck's not fixed by then, yeah. I may have to rent a truck. So yeah, so back to the affiliate program. There are, Angel J, you may want to read up on how to become an affiliate. There's all sorts of requirements. And you cannot apply for it. They have to offer it to you. Same thing with the partner program. There's all sorts of requirements. And again, you can't apply for it. They have to invite you. Yeah, see, that's what I worst comes to shove, I can, now, I would just need a truck, and I know U-Hauls rent trucks as well, so I know I could rent it from there, but it's, completely was not my husband's fault at all. So I'm hoping the rental car they give us, I'm going to talk to the adjuster about, hey, look, I kind of need something with a hitch. Can you give us something with a hitch? If not, would you cover the cost of renting the truck from U-Haul just for the weekend? mean, I can live without having a second car as long as I have a truck to take my trailer. So if I didn't have to have money out of my pocket for something that wasn't his fault, I prefer that. But if I have to, I understand. Unfortunately, things happen sometimes. Oh, and I forgot to mention for the past few streams, so I should probably mention it now. Don't do as I do. You're not supposed to sew over your pins. It's a very bad thing to do. You can damage your machine. Now you'll be able to see it better whenever I have a third camera right here, but you'll notice you may see my fingers are getting really close. I know the parameters of my machine, and I'm not going to sew over my finger. I've done that once. It's not going to happen again, and it was on the embroidery machine, not on here. But what I'm doing is I'm holding down these seams, and I'm just guiding it through. Because even though the pins are holding those seams down, it's still nice to have that extra finger on there. And then once my foot catches the seam, so I know it's not going to flip up, that's whenever I pull my hand away. So I'm not pulling with this hand, I'm just guiding it. Because this hand, normally I guide from this side, but this hand is pushing those seams down. If that makes sense. You'll see better in a few weeks whenever I've got the other set up. So everything said it was arriving by Wednesday. I got a third, I love these cameras. I got a third camera, just like the one I have now with these two. I got a mount, a screw-in mount that I can mount a camera from the ceiling. I got a flexible mount so that I can actually hang it someplace over here, maybe have a camera down on the ironing board if I want. And I got a section cut mount, just in case it'll work on wood. So, or if I'm someplace else and I want to suction it to something to actually have the bird's eye view. Alright, and she is coming along. There's her top half. I'm just looking to make sure I didn't flip any pieces and it still looks good. I'm so paranoid about that because I do it all the time. And her bottom half. Yep, she's good. Same thing. I'm just finding the seam, putting a pin in. There's no seams here that match up, so I'm just putting the pins in to hold them down. Okay, there's one that matches up. Now, with my finger, I kind of slide it back and forth until that seam perfectly nests together. Now, once I get my, for the affiliate program, once I get my emotes up and going, and I start doing subscribers, I need to figure out how I put that little subscribers for the day, the number out of the number, because I'm going to put goals, and if I meet those goals, I will give things away. Go. Last pinning. Do this with the Japanese wood spirit quilt because I already finished the second one. I was able to finish the second one Thursday night, Friday morning before I started the finishing stream for the last one. Ran out of time today, last night and today. See how she looks. There she is. Now, this is just the basic quilt. I haven't added on any of the borders yet. So I mentioned this with the Japanese wood spirit quilt. There are some people, thank you guys, there are some people that make sprite quilts that stop at this point. If you make a sprite quilt, it is super, super important. Even if you do what I do and take the background and just extend it out another pixel around, it finishes off the quilt. So please, 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 if you ever do a pixel quilt, don't end at this. Please do another row all the way around, and it makes it look really nice and framed and finishes it off. So that's our next step. And I do have that in the pattern as well, that first row of what you need for that. Okay, so I'm going to take that. Now, we know I don't need any of these other fabrics. So let me put these away. Now, I will need the black for the Pokemon. I'm not going to use this red. There's another red that I use. Now, I did keep the fabric out and available until I knew I didn't need it anymore. And that way it was within easy reach if I needed it. Now, so I do need this purple right now. And I do not need the blue or the tan. There we go. All right, so I set aside and saved 4 scraps. And you'll see why. So in the pattern, I say to cut 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces in the original, and then you cut one of those in half. We don't need the 1 in half anymore. Or actually, no, 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, 5. And then you cut the 1 in half. Because that's what those scrap pieces are for. So today, oh, you know what? I am going to collapse this and set it aside. Testing. Yeah, so when I moved this, I pulled the cord out for the microphone. There we are. So let's move that out of the way. And now I can reach my stripology ruler. All right, so like I was saying, whenever I pulled the mic out, you cut 5 pieces. I'm only going to cut 4 per quilt now, and I am going to cut the quilt that I just set aside that's not finished yet. That way I can just put this fabric away and not have to deal with it anymore. So I'm going to cut 8 2-inch strips, which is a single pixel all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, whoops, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Alright, we're going to take 4 of those and 2 of these and set it over here out of the way for the other quilt. Okay, and then I'm finished with this, so I can put this away. Alright, first thing I want to do is combine my half strips with my full strip. Now, the best way that I find to combine it, some people want to do like you do the binding and do it on the angle. Personally, I don't think it makes a difference because these are not true borders. Always trim the selvage off. You don't want that selvage in there. just going to pick this whole thing up and set it aside over here with the rest of them. So yesterday I mentioned that, oh, there's my fabric, scrap fabric, since I'm not doing the strips anymore. I mentioned I wanted to try to find an ode to the seam ripper to put on my Facebook page. Yeah, I couldn't find a good one that I like, so I just wrote one myself. So if you have any requests of any odes you want me to write, just let me know. That's one of the only good things that English major comes in handy for. Now, whenever I sew this, you can sew the seam open if you like. I don't. Doesn't make a difference which way you iron those seams. There we are, and now I have my long strips. I can put it on there. So, for this quilt, I like to put the left and the right sides on first. Oops, there goes my selvage. Let me toss that. Now, whenever you sew on the single pixel all the way around, find the short side. So right here is my short side. The short side you want to lay down first. And whenever you pin these on, just make sure that you pin at each of the seams. So every time you come in contact with a seam, and that's what I'm doing with my finger, I'm not only smoothing the fabric and lining it up, but I'm looking for seams, because you can feel them under your fingertips. Once you find a seam, put a pin in it. There we are. And I'm going to trim the end of this, and I have another scrap. So I can just keep on continuing to use those scraps. And the same thing here. So I'm taking my short side, which is this one, and then whenever you're putting it on, right side to right side. I don't think I say that enough in my streams. Whenever you're sewing fabric together, the right side of the fabric is the one that has the picture on it, the one that has the design, the color. If you're using a batik, there is no right side because it's dyed in a way to where both sides are right sides. And so you want to put the right side facing the right side, and then when you iron it, the seam is on the back side, is on the wrong side. I knocked the camera, didn't I? So not only did I pull the microphone out, I'm like, you can't see this part in the camera, can you? All right. There we go. Okay. So I was about to point this out. Now right here, you'll see that there is a strip of fabric right here. I'm going to take this and I'm going to lay it straight across. I'm not going to angle this down to catch that fabric, because what that tells me is that this fabric line is actually a little bit longer than the rest of the row. So you don't have to trim it if you don't want to. Just sew over top of it. Alright, and let's trim there. I always like to fold this. Alright, and then we are going to sew each side. Always take off your scrap fabric before you get too far. Sometimes I forget about it and I lose it. It's somewhere in my sewing. Now, in this case, I'm not going to put my scrap fabric in. I'm just going to grab the other side because the quilt is big enough to start sewing. And then I'll trim it so I can free it. Saves time and thread. And then my scrap fabric. Alright, take the pins out. Alright, and then I want to iron these seams. Now, it does not make a difference which way you iron the seam. You can iron it open if you like, you can iron it towards the quilt, you can iron it towards the border. It does not make a difference. Personally, I like to iron it away from the quilt top because it's easier. You get a big piece of fabric and a small piece. I iron the small piece away from the big piece. It's just a lot easier to do it that way. I also do not iron the way you're supposed to iron. So you're supposed to iron it on the back side. You're supposed to iron the seam, lock it in, and then when you iron your seams, do it on the back side of the fabric. Yeah, that takes more time. This way I can actually see it and make sure that it's been ironed correctly. And I'm trimming the edges. So I have this overhang. Now in this case, this overhang, you do have to trim it. That is too much of an overhang. Alright, so we've got our background on the left and the right. So now we need to add the top and the bottom. always iron the strips before you put them on there, because the quilt top has been ironed. So you want this to be ironed as well. Alright, and then I'm going to trim this, and I have a scrap I can use. I'm going to iron this open. And whenever you're putting these on, it's the same thing applies. So you try to find where the seams are, put the pins in them. If there's a large enough space where you think it could use another pin, just put another pin in there. You can never have too many pins when it comes to piecing or quilting. Pins are what keeps it in place so it does not move while you sew it. Just make sure that you pin the seams before you go back through and add extra pins. Alright, last 2 stitches for Amazon Warrior. Every time I sit down, you notice that I look down and I kind of kick around. I lose my sewing pedal all the time. I don't know how it slides so much. There must be a gremlin in here that constantly pushes things off my desk. A cat. Moves my pedal, changes things around. Alright, same thing. When you iron these seams, does not make a difference which way you iron them. I iron them away from the quilt top, from the big piece to the little piece, because it's easy. I'm doing the same thing, just trimming off those little pieces. And she is done. So you see how the extra fabric around the edges just helps to frame it up a little bit. So you can actually see the design better. And at this point in the pattern, you then add extra borders. So if you want extra borders added to it, whatever color you want, at this point, this is where you add them. So she is done. And I'm setting her aside. So any questions on Amazon Warrior before I move on to the Pokemon? Okay, there's no questions. I'll keep going. First thing I want to do is pull all the fabric that I'm going to need. So let me switch out the picture. So that is not the last one that I made, but the one before that, where it looks... Yeah, the one that I'm making, it's just the Pokeball is going to be angling to the right-hand side. Words are the same. And then the border, I'll pick fabric when I get there. The background is in a light blue. Do I have enough of that? Yeah. I'm just going to decide what fabric I want to use. Oh, you know what? I'm going to use that one. This is one of those quilts where I don't have a pattern for it. I always just wing it as I go. And I change it every time. So no two quilts that I make that are like this are ever the same. Because I just change it. Because I can. Because there is no pattern. Because it's a logo and it's a design, I can't sell the pattern for it. So I may as well play around and have fun with it. Alright. Amazon Warrior goes away. So... let's do this blue. This is a different blue than the last one I did. So let's go this blue. Black. I need white. I definitely just want to do a regular plain Kona white. What else do I need? Oh, and red. Let's do this red. This is a nice red. That's everything I need. Huh. Hey, I just found a bunch of scraps. I gotta throw in my scrap bin. Fantastic. Okay. I'm just looking at all the colors, making sure I've got everything. And of course the borders last. Now, I am not going... This is an applique quilt, so it's a little different than a pieced quilt. It's not going to be in the pixelated style. It's not going to be anything like what I'm working on, what I've worked on before that you've seen. Just deciding which one I want to go first. Okay, let's cut the applique pieces first. So, first thing I want to do is bring up my program, which is the Brother Scan and Cut program, which I have got right here. Now I have 4 different things that I need to scan in here. And I'm going to be making 2 quilts when I do this. So I've got to figure out all the pieces I need to cut for 2 quilts. So the first thing I'm going to do, let me get the black done. For the black, I need to do this. Whenever you work on a cutter, look at your mat. So my mat here is 12 by 12. So I want to make sure the fabric that I cut is 12 inches by 12 inches. So I'm making 2 quilts, so I need to cut 2 12 by 12 pieces. Now if it's a little bit bigger, that's fine. I'd rather have it be a little bit bigger than a little bit smaller, and I'll show you why whenever I start using the machine. Okay. Let me iron this. So I want to make sure my fabric has no wrinkles in it. It's perfectly flat. And in this case, I'm using the grid lines on my cutting mat. So I'm cutting off the selvages first. I'm doing that at the 1. Now, I want it 12 inches by 12 inches. So I'm actually going to move over to the 13 because I cut the selvage off at the 1. There we go. So then here is my scrap fabric. I'm just going to lay it inside there. And I am going to hold on to this because I may need it later. So what if I make a mistake and I have to have another one? Okay, so there's my black. Now for the blue is the background. So I'm just going to set that aside for right now. I'm not going to worry about that yet. I need the red at the top of the Pokeball. Now, for my scan and cut, whenever I cut it, whenever I first designed all of these things for the scan and cut, I did it with 2 quilts in mind. So the single piece for the red, I actually have 2 pieces on there. So I only need 1 12 by 12 piece of red. Oh, and it looks like I may have used this red the last time I did this quilt because there is a scrap in here. Is this 12 inches? It is. So this is the fabric that I used last time for red. I love this fabric. Okay. So I only need 1 12 by 12 piece of red. I think it actually may be a little off for the initial cut. So I'm just going to double check all of my measurements. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to cut it here. I'm just squaring it up just to make sure I have a perfect 12 by 12 square. Here we are. There's the red. All right. And then white. Now, for the white, I need the lettering, and I've got all of the lettering for a single quilt on 1, so I'll need 2 of those. And then I also have the Pokeball itself. And the Pokeball itself, I was actually able to double the lower and the center, so that's only 1. So I need 3 12 by 12 cuts. Just going to shift those over there. Oh, where's my super long? There it is. Okay, and 12 inches. Now in this case, I'm going to iron it like this because I'm cutting 3 12 by 12 pieces from here. And fabric is normally about 42 to 44 inches wide. So I should just be able to get those 3 pieces. Let's make sure the white's going to show up on that background. Yep, that looks nice. Because I haven't used that background before, that blue. So I just wanted to make sure that that white showed up nicely on it, and it does. Alright, let's cut the selvage off. And I'm going to cut it at 13. Okay. I'm not going to need that one anymore. I can put that away. And is this still straight? Yes. So I can make another cut at 25 because 13 plus 12 is 25. Here we are. And then for my last cut. There we go. And this is scrap. Okay, so I have them reversed, right? Yes. All right. The next step is the applique paper. So whenever you do applique, you need to use applique paper when you do it. This is my applique paper. I am not going to use these lovely scissors. I'm going to use my paper scissors because it is applique paper. So you do not want to use your fabric scissors. It will damage the scissors. There we go. Now, my applique paper of choice is actually a newer one. It was just released last December. It is the Heat and Bond Soft Stretch Fusible Web Adhesive. And this is the Ultra Hold that I use. This is fantastic applique paper. Applique paper normally is very hard. It's not very flexible. This stuff is super flexible. You almost can't tell that there's applique paper in there. So I super, super love it. So let me do that. Now, I'm going to do the black and the red first. Because what you want to do is this is going to be your top. Okay? There's 2 sides to applique paper. You have a rough side and you have a smooth side. The rough side is the side that has the glue. So that's the side that you want your fabric to be on. So I'm going to pick this up. I'm going to move this over to the ironing board. Now, never, ever, ever use steam whenever you're using applique paper. The steam will actually counteract the glue and lift it up, and it won't give it a nice solid base. Now, I'm not ironing all the way out to the edges. All I'm doing is ironing the main body of it, and then once it's kind of on there, now I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to trim it around. And then after I trim it around, I'll give it another iron to hold it in place and really attach it on there. There we go. So I have, now the edges are still loose, so you can see that coming off. It's just attached in the center, just enough so that I could do it. So whenever I iron it, I'm going to iron it on this side, and then I'm turning it over and I'm ironing it on the back side. Again, with no steam. Okay, and I'm going to flip it over and iron it on the back side. And you should be able to tell when you iron it on the back side if you have a good enough hold. There should not be any bubbles in there. There should not be any lighter spots. It should all be smooth, darker spots. And that's what I see on this one. Alright, and I'm going to do it for all of them. Now the reason why I wanted to do the black and the red first is because there is a wrong side and there is a right side. You want to have the wrong side ironed to the glue, because this is what you're going to see with the applique. Now the applique that I do for this quilt is what's called raw edge applique. So that means that I'm not going to be turning any corners. It's just going to be a very simple applique where I use the applique paper to iron it on and then sew it in place. I'm going to save all this stuff. I always save all of my scraps for my applique paper, because whenever I do small applique stuff, I can use it then. Okay, and then the back side. Oh yeah, looks good. And whenever I use the scan and cut, you'll see why it's important that you have a really good seal on that applique paper. See, this is a case where when I have a third camera set up, I have the third camera pointing to the ironing board. And there's the red. Now for the white, the white that I'm using is the Robert Kaufman Kona fabric. There is no wrong side. So it is the same on both sides. So it does not make a difference which side I iron down. If you were doing regular applique and not using a machine like the Brothers Scan and Cut, the Cricut, or the Sizzix, then you would actually draw your design onto the smooth side of the paper. When you draw your design on, make sure you do it in reverse of what you want it to look like. And I'll show you why when I actually put these into the machine and show you the designs that I did. For some reason my fabric didn't want to attach to the applique paper, so I had to iron it a bit more and a little slower. It's not as easy to see on the back of this one because it's white if it has a good seal, so I just have to trust it. I'm starting to get a little glossy with all this ironing. There you are. One more. And then I'll start using the machine. Now, what I just did on the ironing board, there was a black thread that got onto the applique paper. It is super important. If you have hair, darker threads, anything like that, make sure you remove them before you put the paper on there. Because just like when I talk about binding, it's going to be trapped in there. So you're basically putting a glue onto the back of your fabric. So anything that's between that fabric and the glue is there forever. So please make sure your surfaces are clean. Let's get this part off. Oh, I just realized I did not change my description. I have to change it again. It still says the Amazon Warrior Quilt. I am now working on Pokemon Applique Quilt. Great. Okay, last one. I'll keep these scissors out just in case I need them. I always try to keep at least a little bit of the plastic because it has some instructions on there. Or if anyone has questions on what it is or where to get it. And the back. Now I was laying them down face down for two reasons. First, to show you how you can't see any white spots or bubbling in it. And the second reason is to show me what is finished and what is not. Because if I had them face up, it looks like it's a sheet of paper. I'm sorry, a sheet of fabric. So I don't know if I've put the applique paper on there or not. Alright, so I have all of my fabrics ready to go. So let me grab the machine. Man, this cord just wants to go on forever. There we are, and I will put it this way so it's easier for you to see on the camera. And yes, it is a blue shade, see, with the white and the blue. Alright, where am I going to plug you into? I have run out of outlets. Oh, you know what? I do not need this light, so I can unplug you. There we go. So we're going to turn them on. There we go. Alright, so with the machine, there's a couple of ways you can get your pattern into the machine. The first way is through USB. It actually has a USB port on the side. Yep, right here. So it has a USB port right here. It also has a direct connection to your computer. So you can actually plug your computer in directly to the machine. You can use your USB, put the design on there, put the design in here. Or I bought the one that has Wi-Fi. So that's what this little symbol right here says. It says it has Wi-Fi. So whenever I have my design ready on my screen, I send it electronically to here through the Wi-Fi, and it does it. A couple of things. This right here is my cutter. So the Cricut, Sizzix, and Brother Scan-N-Cut also come with the ability to draw. So if you wanted to draw something out, maybe for a scrapbook, I don't know, for any reason, they come with markers too. You just replace that with here. This is the cutter. Cutters are not permanent. It is going to wear out eventually. It does, it does get dull. My cutter for my fabric, the numbers on here is how deep the cut is. So it's important to understand how deep you're going to cut it. You do not want to score it too much. So on here I can see where it's actually cut into the mat a little bit, because you actually want to cut just a touch into the mat. Once you've cut too much and the mat is starting to not have any integrity, that's when you get a new mat, not whenever it loses its stickiness. So that is, it's important that you don't cut too deep or else you'll damage your mat, so you have to replace it sooner. For mine, with my applique, I set it at a 7.5 out of 10. And then it's always better to set it too shallow and then redo the cut and turn it up. I did a stream last fall for Jordan's robotics team where I actually made the bumpers for the robot. And so the numbers I did on this machine. So I actually put canvas into here and cut on the canvas. So this will cut all sorts of things. Yes, hon? Are you just coming to do laundry?
Yeah.
Next time you come down, can you bring me a cup of coffee?
Yeah, there's a good chance I won't come back down. Just a warning.
Aw, come on, honey. I can't have any coffee? Alright, so back to this. So you saw how I made my mat sticky again. I'm going to go this way and back this up. It is now ready to go. So the first thing I do is I take my plastic mat off. And I have tried this a couple of different ways. I have learned it's better to have the fabric face down. You do not want to have the paper face down. And then you want to smooth this out very gently. Not too much because you don't want to have a permanent glue to it. Put the mat up against here. There we go. Alright, so it was preparing it. Okay, so I went to put my mat up there, and I'm loading my mat. Okay, and then I want to use a pattern. I want to do it from the cloud, and I haven't done anything yet. So let me go here. I want to do, oops. I've got to remember how oh, there you go, new project. There we go. And I want the single circle. And transfer. Yep, that's not the one I want. So I'm deleting the pattern. Okay, pattern, transfer, there it goes. And now it's just the circle of the black. And that is ready to go. So I'm ready to go here. I've got my mat in there. I've got my design on here. So I'm just going to hit this. Oh, okay, and I'm going to cut it. Because it asks you if you want to draw or cut. And you notice how this little light came on green whenever I got a certain, whenever I did all the things I was supposed to do. So now, okay, let's push this green. Now, I tend to always do the black one first because it's a circle. It's a very, very simple thing. And I need a spatula. I'll be right back. What?
I heard noise. I have to make a copy of it. It's late now.
No, in fact, that's not what I'm getting. We'll bring that on to make coffee, bring it. I need a spatula quickly. so the first one is done. Now, I had to go and run and get an implement because whenever I was putting all my stuff together, I lost my little white spatula. Alright, so this is done. Now I'm going to take a look at it and see, is it cut through? You know what? It is not cut through all the way. I need to redo this. So I need to turn my cutter up and redo this. So that cut was not a good one. So let's cut. Now you notice how I checked it before I took this out of here. So let's do this again. The blade may be starting to wear down to a point where I may need to replace it soon. Hi, Marley. Okay, that looks good. Yep, that's good. All right, finish cutting. So I want to push my button to take the mat out. Once the mat is out, you can take it off. Now, in this case, no, it still didn't cut through all the way. Where are my scissors? My fabric scissors. It cut through the paper all the way, but not the fabric. So I'm going to have to make it go deeper. I have not used the scan and cut since I did the canvas, so I bet you doing it on the canvas actually dulled the blade. If that happens, just trim around. There we are. Okay, so that's trash. Now, is the paper coming away, or is that... Nope, the glue didn't stick. Okay, I've got to re-iron this now because for some reason around the edges, some of the glue did not stick to the fabric. So I'm just going to re-iron it before I do the other one. Oh, thank you, honey. I've got a good husband. Awesome. Thank you. I got coffee. Coffee. Alright, so back to ironing this. I'm just going to give it another quick iron just to make sure it's on there. Here we are. And there's our base for our Pokeball. So let me set this aside over here and let's do the next one. Now I said that the scoring was not deep enough because I had to use scissors to trim it around. So I'm actually going to make it a little deeper. This is telling me that after I make these quilts, I'm probably going to have to go buy another blade. I really think doing those canvases in the fall dulled it. Okay, so it's now, oh, sorry, it's out of 12, not out of 10. So it's now at a 9.5. So let's see how that goes. All right, so I'm making 2 quilts. So I'm doing the same exact thing. So take your black fabric, lay it down, smooth it, make sure it's smoothed all the way out to the corners. It's nice and pressed. There we are. Put it up against there. There we are. Push the button so it brings the mat in. I'm doing the same exact thing, so I'm going to cut it and go. Oh, you see what happened? Quick cutting. And this is why I didn't put the fabric away. So what's happened in this case is it wasn't a tight enough seal. So that tells me I didn't put enough glue on it. So I can no longer use this. This is now trash. So let's apply some glue while I now cut another black piece. So I'm going to set this this aside so I can actually show you how the glue works. Okay, I'm going to actually pull off all of these big pieces of string and yarn. All right, so this is the Zig Memory System 2-way glue. I'm going to shake it up. Come on, there we go. Yeah, you can see the blue. Nice. So I'm putting a nice liberal coating of blue glue. Now, if I were to put the fabric on here now, it would permanently glue it to the surface. I do not want that. I want a temporary stick. So, I wait until this is dry. And then I do it. Now, remember, as this dries, it's going to start to turn clear. So already some of the spots are turning clear. Uh-oh. There's a gnat that just landed on it and it's dead. It's stuck to it. Come on. There we go. Silly gnat. He suicided on my mat. Okay, now I'm going to go back through, and there's some large spots of glue. I'm just going to smooth them out a little bit. There. All right, and I've got my blue. As you can see, there's bits of blue all over there. So we're going to let that sit. It should take about 15-20 minutes. Yes, blowing helps. But I'm going to have to cut my my other one as well. So let me move. Now, if it's still not dry by the time I've got my second black piece ready, I can always start working on the blue piece that goes around, and I can iron my one black piece to a blue piece. All right, so let me move this over here. It's just going to sit right there, out of the way. I believe, yep, I can just use this piece I had right here. Now it has been folded in there, so I do want to re-iron it. So this is already 12 inches wide, so I just need to cut it 12 inches long. I'm not putting this piece of plastic on there, I'm just setting it to the side. Yeah, so I lost my little white spatula that comes with the Brother Scan and Cut. Couldn't find it anywhere this morning. So I must have done something when I did the numbers on the robotics thing. I have no clue where I put it. Alright, so back to applique paper. Remember, this is the black one, so I want to make sure that the wrong side gets attached to the paper. The right side is facing up. Oops. Oh, my plastic fell. Let me get it. Oh, where did you go? Oh, there you are. Because I do not want any dirt or dust on here. There we are. Now you're not going to fall. Okay, back to ironing this. I just realized I hadn't looked in chat for a while. And I looked and you guys are too quiet. Which tells me you're either crafting yourselves or you're very intent on watching Applique. There you are. And what happened with the scan and cut, how it grabbed it and captured it like that and didn't want to let go, yeah, that happens a lot. Perfectly okay. Okay, black is ready again. Okay, so black is ready. I'm just going to set that aside. Oh, there's still lots of blue on there, as you can see. It was a big clump, so I was just spreading it out. Yep, still gotta wait. Alright, so while I wait, we can do the blue backgrounds. Alright, I'm gonna set these over here. Alright, time for math. So, my finished quilt. My finished quilt, I do not want it any bigger than 40 inches wide. Because it's going to be a lap quilt. And then if I do 40, it'd be 40 by 44. I'm thinking I want my finished one 38 by 42, maybe? Yeah, let's go 38 by 46. I like those numbers. That's a good number. No, 38 by 44. 6 inches longer than it is wide. Alright, so my finished one is going to be 38 by 44. My border. How big should I make the border? Because again, I don't have a pattern for this. I just throw it together. I wing it every time. No suggestions from you guys. You know what? While I'm waiting for that to dry, I'm going to flip this back so I can see the chat easier. Let's do 3.5. No, maybe 4. Yeah, I'm gonna write some of this down. Alright, because we all want it in a correct ratio, right? So, if we want finished, 38 by 44, okay? You know what? 4 inches with 38 by 44, 4 inches is a nice ratio for a border. So let's do the border of 4 inches. So we need to subtract 8 from each of those because 4 inch on the left, 4 inch on the right, 4 inch on top, 4 inch on bottom. So I need to have my blue piece my blue piece needs to be 30 by 40 plus a 1/4 inch. Because whenever you add on those borders, it actually loses the 1/4 inch. So it should be 30.5 by 36.5. So 30.5 wide by 36.5 long. And what that's going to do is it's going to take a 1/2 inch off left and right. Uh-oh, am I frozen? Or is it just my screen? Okay, no. Making sure. So I've got a 1/2 inch. I've got a 1/4 inch on the left. Yeah. 1/4 inch is going to come off on the left, 1/4 inch come off on the right, 1/4 inch on the top, 1/4 inch on the bottom. So I'm going to cut the blue pieces 30.5 inches by 36.5 inches. And remember I said earlier that fabric is anywhere from 42 to 44 inches long. Oh, this is almost done. Fantastic. By the time I cut this, it'll be ready. Alright, so my finish is going to be 30.5 by 36.5. So let's cut this baby. If it's between 42 and 44 inches long, that's going to be my long part, the 36.5. So I want to cut the length at 30.5. Stay right there. I know, it's difficult. Stay. Yes, I'm talking the fabric. Here we are. Perfect. And I said 30.5. Alright, I'm going to have to move you because I need to be able to see the numbers down here. So let's move it to right there. I love using my cutting mats for all of the measurements for the ruler board. Alright, so 30.5 is what I'm doing. And it's perfectly straight. There we are. Here's my first one. Okay, so I'm making 2, so I've got to do that again. So I've got my 30. Now, I have not cut the 36.5, just the 30. I'm going to put you over there. Oh, I moved it again. Oh, I keep moving it. There we are. Sorry. In fact, I'm going to move this over a little bit. That should be better. There we are. And I'm going to cut it at the 30.5. Alright, so I have those 2 cuts. I shouldn't need this anymore. Where did I put my... Oh, there it is. My fabric holder and placer. That's a technical term. The holder and placer. Alright, here's my second one. Let me set that aside. Now, still some blue, just a little bit. So you got little spots of it, so it's almost dry. I like all the technical ways that I do things. Now the biggest thing that I want to be careful of is I cannot have any of the glue not be dry, because if I put my fabric on there, it may try to do a permanent bond to the fabric, or it could come off onto the fabric, and you do not want the glue onto the fabric. Whenever this stuff is completely dry, it sticks it and holds it, but not a permanent hold, and it doesn't rub off onto the fabric. There we go. All right, that should be good. All right, let's move this aside again. Let's move our scan and cut back. Now, I'm going to do something I did not do before. I think part of the problem of why it only worked the one time is I may have gotten some hairs or threads onto that first one I did that then rubbed onto the mat. So I want a nice clean surface. There we go. All right. Let's put this on here. And let's put the mat in. There we are. To make sure that seam is good, we're going to cut and go. I'm just going to keep an eye on it this time. Yep, looks good. Because I lost my little white spatula that came with it, I have an actual spatula. Alright, so we're finished cutting. Okay, we're going to push this to take the mat out. Oh no! I didn't push this down. This was still up. Okay. So I need to push it down. So it didn't cut it at all. Let's try it again. Alright, that is down. Okay, that's locked in place. That's good. We're going to cut. Alright, now it's cutting. I should say that this doesn't happen all the time. Yeah, it happens all the time. Alright, handy dandy spatula. Okay, let's free it. And we're going to take it from one side and peel it up. And, oh, it looks good. Fantastic. Oh, it did not cut through all the way. Great. And it does have a little bit of glue on there. So I may have to do another one. Alright, where's my... I'm going to put my plastic on there just to protect it in the meantime. Yeah, because what's going to happen is this glue is now going to stick. I didn't wait long enough. I thought it was dry, but it's not. Alright, gotta do another one. So, that is trash. Let me get my black again. Well, at least now I know it's going to be good and it's going to be dry. Make sure I got all the glue off my hands. Again, I should say that this doesn't happen all the time. Yeah, you'd think I'd learn from my mistakes. See, but at least you're getting lots and lots of views at how to prepare the fabric and put the applique paper on. Now, I went ahead and cut 2. Oh! I cut it 11 inches wide. Damn it. Damn it. See, this is what happens whenever I don't pay attention. Come on, Tony. I even said the last time, this is why it's important that you cut at the 13 if you cut at the 1 to cut off the selvage. And of course, I did not do that. One time I did that, and for the life of me, I could not figure out why it wasn't 12 inches. Like, it just did not dawn on me that I'm supposed to cut at the 13. I don't think I was very awake that day. Did my paper scissors go? I bet they're behind the scan and cut. Nope. Okay. No, I didn't put them away. Throw it into the paper. Now I am going to hold on, even though I tossed it over there, the one that I just did, I'm going to hold on to it in case I have to re-put the glue on there, because I'm doing a whole bunch of different ones. So I'm going to keep that over there to kind of like pull the extra glue off. There we are. All right. Oops, I didn't find in the back. This again. I would need to go a little deeper still because it's still not cutting through all the way. I think I need to get a new blade. And I put it right here. There we are. One more time. Hopefully this is the last. Oops, nope. Good. Alright, what happened in that case, it actually started to load in on the one side but not the other. So I held on to it. I did not let go because I did not want it to push this off. There we are. You want to make sure that it loads in evenly. Okay, that's good. That's good. We're going to cut. Oh, and I realized I didn't pull it forward some. the next one I'll pull it forward a little bit more. Okay. Pull the mat out. Now, let's see how this is. Oh, really? There we go. Did it come out? Nope. It's almost. There we are. So I'm thinking I'm going to make the cut a little bit deeper. And the glue actually came off on the corner. Not a good thing. Just making sure the glue, nope, there's no glue on the fabric. Great. All right, so we're good to go now. In this case, I'm going to flip it around this way because a little of the glue came off the mat right there. So I don't want to come in that way because I don't want it to pull off. So this is now going to be the way that I put it in. Black is done. Only took me enough tries. All right, so let me go to my scan and cut program. I am going to we are going to do the red next. So I've got the red on my screen. I'm going to back up out of here. I'm going to hit the home button, which is going to delete the pattern on here. And let's download this one. I'm going to transfer it by Wi-Fi. So in this case, I want to do a pattern, transfer it by Wi-Fi, and it's there. So I'll hit OK on my screen. And I'm good. All right, so now I'm going to be doing the red. So here is my red. I'm going to do the same thing. Let's take off, I need a good surface. There we go. I'm going to take off all of the hair, dust, and dirt. There we go. The most important thing is to make sure that the sides are smooth. Okay, we've got that. This is good. I'm going to cut it and go. Here. Looks good so far. Now I'm progressively doing the easiest to the hardest, and then that way if there's any mistakes, it's on the easiest ones to do. Okay, so I'm going to take this from the side. And let's peel this up. Okay, I haven't needed to use the spatula yet. When I get to the letters, I'll probably need it. And yeah, I definitely need a new cutter. It did not cut through all the way. Alright, gotta make it even deeper. Alright, where is my scissors? But fabric is good. It's stuck well. I'm just going to finish freeing this. There we are. And there's my red piece. we are. Red piece. This is now trash. Okay. That one's done. So I have my 2 red pieces. Now for the white. Now I have 3 white ones. So let me go back. I want to do a new project. Yes, leave the page. And pick the new one. I've got that on there. Yes, that all looks good. I'm going to hit home on here. Yes, I'm deleting. Okay, let's download. I am sending it. Oh, nope, not the PC. There we go. Scanning and transfer. There we go. Pattern, transfer. Okay. I'm going to move this forward a little bit. There we go. There we are. All right, I've got all of the dirt, dust, debris, everything off of there. It's actually staying pretty well, even though it's missing some glue over there. Now in this case, I may need the spatula, and I'll show you why. Alright, so let's load it. There's a few puckers. Let's make sure they're not going to come up when I hit it. Alright, it's on there, it's good, yes. Cut. Let's see how it did. So let's free it. Let's move these back over here again. Let's take one of the corners and pull it away. Yep. Yeah, and you notice how when I pulled it away, some of it stayed on there. That's why we need a spatula. To get up under there. Oops. There we are. There we are. There's one. Come on. And 2. Now, in this case, the paper is starting to come off. That's perfectly okay because the glue is now on here. So if the paper comes off, it's not a big deal. It's not the end of the world. Now, I am going to put the plastic onto here to protect it from dust and dirt because I need to do some trimming. Okay, so there's one of my little circles. And there is my circle in the middle. This one is trash. Alright, move all of these out of the way so I can use my trash can again. Here's all the papers. Here we are. Now, for little tiny pieces like this, it may not cut through all the way. And in fact, I'm going to turn it up even more. I definitely cannot use this anymore without buying a new blade. Okay, and now for these pieces. Alright, so that teaches me, when I do the bumpers for the robots, for the Robotics Club this year, if I use my scan and cut machine on canvas, I then have to have a different one for the fabric because it's going to dull it, kind of like paper and fabric scissors. Yeah, I definitely need new blades. Here we are. Okay, so Pokemon pieces and center ball pieces. All right, now that's trash. Okay, next is the lettering. So I definitely, let me turn this baby all the way up. I do not want to have to cut these things if I do not have to. So, new project. Yes, I'm leaving the page. And my lettering. Now, I spoke before about applique, about if you're drawing it on yourself, about reversing it. I will show you why now for the lettering. So, for my lettering, on my screen that I see, everything is backwards. Because I'm cutting it, the red is a good one to show you. I'm cutting it like this. Remember, the fabric is face down whenever it's covering it, because this is the glue. This is what you see. So if it's face down, you need to do it in reverse. So you need to have it flipped. So all of my letters that I'm putting in right now are flipped. Oops, wrong side. Fabric. Okay, so let's do some lettering. There we are. It is stuck on there nicely. Let's put it in the machine. So this is my last set, so I have to do 2 of these because I'm making 2 quilts. Make sure it lays down nicely. Okay, so I'm going home. Yes, I'm deleting that pattern. I want a new pattern. So let me send it to the transfer. And it's got it. Okay. So, this is fine. I want to cut it, but let's do it. Okay, so far it hasn't caught it. And this one's going to take a little while because it's all the lettering. So I'm going to sit my butt down. Now the spatula that comes with it is a small one. It's only about that long. It really annoys me that I lost it. When I go to buy a new blade, I'll probably just buy another one. Because I really do like the little spatula. You know how much easier this makes applique? You don't have to actually sit with scissors. Well, first you don't have to draw it on there. And then you don't have to sit with scissors and cut it all out. So much easier. I had a little piece there that was getting caught. Did not want it to damage the rest of it. Alright, it's about 2/3 of the way through. And then after I do this one, I'll pull all the letters off, and then I have one more. Now I'm going to take all the letters, and I'm actually going to set them aside over here, out of the way. That way I don't lose any. I have a bad habit of cutting everything out and then losing like a single letter. You guys are super quiet today in the chat. Nice and talky towards the beginning, but then all of a sudden when I start doing the Pokemon quilt, you're nice and quiet. Like I said, it means you're either crafting or you're super focused on Pokemon applique. Oh, there's another one that's starting to... Alright, that's fine. Alright, looks good. Let's free this. I'm going to put this up so I have more room. Okay, we're going to grab it by the corner. And some of them are coming off easy, some of them are not. Now with this two-way glue, the longer you have the fabric on the mat, the more of a hold it's going to have. Now what's happening also is some of the paper's coming off. Again, perfectly okay. You're going to be taking those papers off anyways. As long as you have ironed it correctly and the glue is on that fabric, that is all you are concerned with. Oops, come on. There we are. My C didn't want to come off. Let's make sure it's nice. I don't have to do another one. Nope, C is good. This is where that little tiny spatula comes in handy. This big spatula is just not cutting it. Luckily, I have nails. My nails are doing a better job than this big thick spatula. Alright, I'm definitely going to go buy that little spatula again. It was really nice. Now, if any of this two-way glue gets on your fabric, just roll it off. This is my trash pile of all of the papers. There we go. All right. So while I work on the rest of it, I cover the mat and move it aside. Here we are. I'll show you all the letters before I do the second one. And this is, I've turned it all the way up for the cutting, so it cannot get any deeper. And I'm still cutting away parts that didn't cut completely. So it's definitely dull. Time for a new one. Here we are. Now imagine if I would have had to draw all of these letters onto the paper and cut every single one out along those lines. Here, at least it has scored it enough to where all I'm really doing is just giving it an extra little cut to free it. So that my cuts are actually pretty darn perfect. Because I didn't do it, the machine did. There we are. Alright. Looks like I have all of my letters off of there. And this is all just the centers and there. Alright. Let's make sure I have everything here before I do the second one. There's the G. Now in this case, the glue is on the back side, so whenever I go to iron it on, the glue's on the back side and I can just lay it down like this. Oops, come on. There we are. That's why. That's a big C. These are trash. Alright, I've got them all. Stay. That little exclamation point didn't want to stay. Fantastic. Alright, so I've got all my letters. So, I do not want to mix this up with the two quilts. So, I'm going to put them all into a little stack. So I'm going to do the lettering last when I put it onto the quilt and set that over there. let me set these pieces all right there. And then I'll put the other ones beside it. All right? Take that upstairs. That's useless. Okay. Something that I forgot to mention that I wasn't doing that I should is how you smooth it onto there. So you should start from one corner and smooth it straight across. And that'll prevent puckers. I was just kind of like throwing it on there before. There we are. Alright, now I don't need to change it because I'm doing the same exact thing. There we are. Okay, that's on there all the way. We're going to cut it and go. That's it. It looks good. That should be fine. It caught it a little bit right there, but that just means that I'm going to have to cut it myself with some scissors. And again, that's all because the blade is dull. I just want to watch it and make sure that there's going to be no problems. Every now and then you've got a little piece of paper that's catching and pulling up. It's not affecting the rest of the letters, and it's not affecting the cut of that letter. It's just the paper getting caught in there. Again, that's fine. That's it. So let's pull this out. Let's see how we've done. Alright, so that I'm going to set aside for now while I get the rest of them off. Okay, that's trash. That's trash. I've got to cut that. still have to cut that off. All right, so everything's off of there. Let me get my plastic on there and set it aside. Now, I'm looking at the other side of the mat. I'm starting to see it wearing through because I had to cut it so deep today because the blade is not sharp enough. It is not scored enough though to where I have to replace the mat. But it is, you can see it through onto the other side. So when it starts to score it all the way through, that's when you replace the mat. Alright, let's do some trimming of letters. And then I will put the scan and cut away and start to assemble. Now, even though that took an hour and a half just to do that, just to do this part of it, that is still a lot less time than if I would have had to do all of that by hand. Come on. Stay over there. You don't want to go back onto here. You're free. And if my blade wasn't so dull, I wouldn't have had to do this at all. It actually makes pretty clean cuts. But it's been a year, and I've never changed the blade. So I guess it's time. There we are. Oh, this is the one that got pulled up and it didn't get cut. That's fine. My husband must be playing a game. I can hear it. Can you turn that down, please?
What?
Turn it down, please. That's all I can hear. Thank you. Alright, I got the A. Almost done. And then I will finish with the blue backgrounds. And I'll get the first piece on there. I'm going to put the, I'll show you how I center the black piece and then how I do all the lettering. I did say I was going to do the lettering last. I changed my mind. Okay. We're done with the scan and cut. So, let's get it out of our way. I have a carry case over here for it that I keep it stored in when I'm not using it. I don't like having my machines out in the open if I'm not using them. There we are. All right. Pieces are all cut out. Yay! So I shouldn't need any of that fabric, but I'm going to hold on to it there just in case. So let's put this away as well, because I don't want to get any dirt or dust on it. Come on. There we go. I actually keep my mats, so I have that plastic cover on them, but I also keep them in a plastic bag in a container because I want to make sure that there's nothing that's going to get into it. Oh, excuse me, Marley. That's probably not a good place to lay. Alright, so this is why I wrote down those figures. So I cut it 30.5, so I need to cut 36.5 the other way. So, first let's iron it. Let me turn my steam back on, put some water in there. Okay. There we are. So my length just gonna make sure everything is perfectly even for my cut. Okay, I said my length was 36.5. So, calculator, 36.5 divided by 2. So I need to make this 18.25 for the length. Okay, so it's going to be 18.25. And that's scrap. So here is the canvas that I'm going to be working with. So I still have that line in the center, so I'm going to get that ironed out. Here we are, and I have my canvas. Okay, and I'm going to fold this one up and just set it aside while I work on the other one. Okay, same thing with this one. Okay. Oh, and working on my own emote, even though I was nice job, Angel J. The only thing you missed was all of the struggle with the scan and cut. Everything is now cut out, so I am cutting my background. Okay, so I said 18.25. Okay. There, that's scrap. And let's get that center line ironed out. Now, even though I've ironed it out, I can still see on here where my exact center is. So, first thing I want to do is put my big black piece on. So you want to, whenever you take off the paper, as you saw with, oh nice. Yeah, that's what's going to be one of mine, is a sewing machine. So the paper that's on the back, you can either kind of work it off of one side, or a trick that someone showed me, if you take a pair of scissors and you just lightly score the back, you can now pop it off that way. Worked on Angel. Yeah, and like I said, I can't draw, which is why I'm having an artist do it. Alright, so this is the perfect center. So, I'm putting this in the exact center. Okay, this is 11 inches, so it should be at the 5.5 for the center. Okay, that's the 5.5. Oops, where's my center there? Oh, that's actually pretty darn close. There we are. Alright, so there's my center. And I'm just going to take this and press this really quickly here just to get it on there. So so that I can pick it up and go put it on the ironing board. Okay, now I am not going to sew the black in place yet. So what I want to do is just add a few pins in here just to make sure that it stays there while I work on everything else. Okay, here we go. So I have those in place. Next, I'm going to do all the lettering. So in fact, I'm going to move this here. I am making my own ironing board on my flat space. I actually do this for the lettering whether I'm streaming or not, because I want a much larger surface to iron. So whenever you need to do a makeshift ironing board, just put a towel down. There we are. Alright, so let's do the top first. So I want to have my lettering around it. So gotta catch is along the top. I'm putting my lettering right in here. So at this point, I'm just going to peel off the papers and lay them out. Now this is not where I'm going to iron them down. At this point, I'm just laying everything out. Just so I have a general idea of the letters. All right, and I'm not going to work underneath yet because that's way down here off my grid. So the first thing I need to decide is how far apart from here do I want to go. Now remember, my border is going to go right here. So I need to have it closer to the circle than closer to the edges. So this is where you do lots of math. So I have 9.5 inches and about 9, let's say 9 3/4 on both sides is what it is. About 9 3/4 to the edge. So if I have 9 3/4, my G, I normally put about right here. So I've got about 2 inches there and about 1, 2, 3, 3 3/4 there. So that's actually a good distance. Okay, let's go 2 1/4. That's 2 now. Okay, so that's about 2, whoops, come on. Stop moving around. Stay. Now it's less than 2. Okay, that's 2. Let me spin it just to... Alright, so I like my G there, so I'm going to iron it in place. Once I have, oops, steam off. Steam off when you're doing these. There we are. So I've got my G. Now at this point, I want to have 2 inches away from here. Now I'm not going to iron any of the others. Because I want to make sure I angle them right. I want to make sure that I place them right. Now my H should go there. Okay, and I'm going to iron my H in place because that's my starting and my ending. And then everything else I'm going to space out in between. And the H is also 2 inches from the ball. Okay, already I gotta move these closer together. Oops. Is that still 2 inches? Nope. Okay. Lower. There we are. Alright, that's good for spacing. Right there is the center. There you go. Okay, I like that. Alright, so once you like it for your applique, iron it in place. Now you notice how I'm not ironing back and forth? I'm just pressing straight down. Because if I iron it back and forth, I may shift the letters. And once I do that, now I can iron it back and forth once I've done the original pressing. There we are. Making sure those letters are really getting in there. Now, this is just the ironing part. I still have to sew all this on here. Okay, so the top is done. These are all trash. Okay, so let's do the bottom area. Okay, now I did 2 inches, remember, from the ball. So I'm going to make sure that I do 2 inches as well. Now I'm going to have a space here, so got to catch them all. Let me peel off the backings. There we are. All right, 2 inches. So I am way off. oh, nope, I'm going to do that at 2 inches and then that down. Yeah, I want that there. Just a matter of preference for how I'm placing the letters. Now remember, you can move the letters around as much as you like, but the moment that you iron them down, that is it. Yeah, like that. And that's why I use a ruler whenever I do it. The first couple of applique quilts I did years ago, I just eyeballed it. I never used a ruler. Yeah, they were off. So I always use a ruler when I'm placing things out. There we go. And there is the start of the Pokemon quilt. So I still have to sew these letters on. So if I get a chance tonight or tomorrow, I will go ahead and do that because that is the most tedious process, which is why I said I was changing my mind and doing the lettering first. Normally I do the lettering last, but in this case I did it first because I want to actually work on it sometime tonight or tomorrow. So in tomorrow's stream, I know it says quilt kits, dice bags, but I'm going to change it. I'm going to finish working on this. So I'm going to work on the Pokemon quilt some more. I'll have the letters done so that you'll actually see me do the sewing. I'll have this camera here actually here. So you can actually see how I'm doing the applique on the machine. And then I'll move it back to here for the borders and things. So I will do the applique for the actual Pokeball itself. So you can see the stitches that I use, how I do it, and then I'll put the borders on. So yeah, so this one is, I would say, about a quarter of the way done. So I'll finish both of the quilts up on tomorrow's stream. And then if I have time, I will then work on quilt kits and dice bags, just like I was planning on. No matter how far I get tomorrow, Wednesday will be quilt day. So I will do quilting on Wednesday. So if you want to see how I do my free motion quilting, I will be doing that Wednesday. So that's it for today. That's all I'm going to get done today. So yeah, tomorrow, what did I say, 5:30? I think 5:30. Yeah, 5:30. So 5:30 to 8:30 tomorrow night Eastern Standard Time. I will be back with Pokemon. And then maybe some quilt kits and dice bags. And then I will be probably doing a long stream Wednesday night. So then I'll see you guys Wednesday night. So see you tomorrow. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. Love you guys. And I'm tired, so I'm going to probably go have another cup of coffee. I'll see you guys later.